Let's get right to Brooke Sigmund with the very latest on the Los Angeles riots and what took place overnight. Hi, Brooke.
Hey guys, that's right. So some of the 700 Marines in Los Angeles are expected to be deployed today to protect ICE agents, with thousands of National Guard troops waiting in the wings. So the LAPD says dozens of protesters were arrested for refusing to follow the curfew put in place by Mayor Karen Bass, who says it will likely last for several days. And California Governor Gavin Newsom is now vowing consequences for violent protesters while still managing to throw digs at President Trump for even sending in the troops.
People will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. He again chose escalation. He chose more force. He chose theatrics over public safety. We honor their service. We honor their bravery. But we do not want our streets militarized by our own armed forces.
Newsom claims President Trump never called him when the protests broke out, but the president is bringing in the receipts, providing a screenshot to Fox News of a 16-minute phone call between him and Newsom on Saturday. And President Trump is not backing down on his efforts to stop these violent riots. He issued a stark message to any protesters who burn an American flag. Listen.
These are animals, but they proudly carry the flags of other countries. But they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing.
I don't understand how can you burn the United States of America flag, but then you fighting to you protesting or rioting to stay here. That don't make any sense. If you like this country so much, why is you burning the American flag? Why is you raising your country flag, like Mexico flag, other country flags, which I don't have nothing against, but I'm just saying, make that make sense.
1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done.
Major cities like Seattle and Chicago are also facing similar anti-ICE protests, and in New York City, police arrested more than 80 protesters. And with reports that these
all of this is just like the Me Too. Like, it happened in California, now it's spreading out to Atlanta, Chicago, New York, all the blue cities.
Protests could continue to spread. Texas Governor Greg Abbott isn't taking any chances. He's deploying the National Guard to San Antonio. Guys.
All right, Brooke Sigmund live for us in Washington. Brooke, thank you. Let's bring in California gubernatorial candidate and Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. Sheriff, good morning to you. As a member of law enforcement and someone who's running for governor, you could talk about this from just about every angle. But first, from the law enforcement perspective, do you think, and do members of law enforcement that are battling these riots on the ground, police officers, the LAPD, do they think that the presence of the National Guard and the Marines is helpful in this situation?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful, because what it does is it enables them to protect buildings and property while we can address the issues that are going on with the rioters. When we are spread too thin, when we have to protect buildings that may not be under attack by a protester or something like that, then we really don't have all of our resources to be able to be directed toward the ones that are actually committing the violence. So with that being done, we can direct all of our attention to criminals.
Now, there's a lot of noise surrounding this story. I think it's a pretty simple story. The fact remains that this thing was spiraling into chaos before Trump sent in the National Guard, and now it has stabilized. Is there any other way of viewing this, Sheriff?
No, there isn't. We've been lied to from the very beginning. The politicians, California politicians, the mayor of Los Angeles, our governor, have completely failed in that nothing was happening in the beginning. It was allowed to spiral out of control, and then they have created this narrative that completely defies facts and a timeline that we know happened. And they keep calling it a peaceful protest, mostly peaceful, whatever they want to call it. But the reality is that law enforcement officers are being attacked, property is being destroyed, and it is.
The first thing they said was a peaceful protest, but it was not. Okay, all these protesters was damaging businesses, spray painting businesses, spray painting people cars, throwing objects on anybody, throwing objects on police officers. If you allow the BS will always will always be allowed. So you can't do that to different countries. You can't do that to other countries. Look at this YouTuber. I forgot his name is oh man. This YouTuber. I think he was pranking a lot of people and it got out of hand. In Taiwan, I think it was Taiwan. Taiwan. Now he facing jail time. You can never you can never play these games in different countries. You gotta face they don't play that. You gotta face jail time. Why these people can't protest in Mexico? Because you already know why. They're gonna be unalive.
Out of control violence that really they're trying to deny for political gain.
Yeah, and Sheriff, I asked that first question on if it's helpful to have the National Guard and the Marines on the ground because Gavin Newsom has gone to the courts and tried to get them to no longer be able to be deployed. How do you feel about that if you say that their presence of them is helpful?
It's nothing but childish games. Our governor would rather fight and argue with the president than do something about Los Angeles. And the reality is the National Guard, they could have been deployed immediately because time and time again, we see that.
Wasn't a months ago Los Angeles was burning down and he was just begging Donald Trump for some funds or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Now you have this protesting, all these riots, they just destroying Los Angeles. He just wanna pick a fight with Donald Trump, blame him for everything. You didn't want to do anything in the first place. Y'all talk for like he said. Yeah, they showed the phone just now. Y'all talk for 16 minutes. It shows. Who knows what? What you supposed to have this under control and nothing happened.
Spiral for 1, 2, 3 days in a row, and then you're behind the 8 ball trying to catch up. When you do it in the beginning with an overwhelming show of force, these criminals that are coming out just to destroy, they don't show up because they know there's going to be a consequence. But this is 20 years in the making of Governor Gavin Newsom's policies that have enabled criminals to do this in the first place. This is just natural for us.
To follow up on something you just said about how you would respond, admittedly, Los Angeles, much bigger than Riverside, the main city in your county. But if these riots had erupted in Riverside or in Palm Springs, Palm Desert, or someplace like that, what would you have done to stop them? And
This have to stop. Like, real talk, this have to stop. It don't make any sense. It have to stop. You know? It have to.
if ultimately it got out of control, would you have welcomed help from the Trump administration with open arms?
Absolutely. And the thing is in 2020, it did happen. The same thing that happened in Los Angeles spilled into Riverside, and we handled it completely different than them. We handled it with an overwhelming show of force where we ended what they were doing immediately, and it disappeared. And what happened was the rest of law enforcement said, oh, look what they did. It worked. And so Los Angeles followed suit, and they were able to stop theirs within 2 days after ours. So there's already a playbook. You do not allow them to escalate and then bring more reinforcements into the criminal behavior. It's nothing but criminals that are enabled to do criminal behavior, and if they're allowed, they will continue and they will get bigger in numbers. If you stop it in the beginning, then it goes away. That's how things should be done.
They paying some of these protesters to do this. They allowing this to happen. Because they could have been stopped this in the beginning. You let this play out. Come on. It's common sense.
Any cop on the street will tell you exactly how they can make it end. But somehow, as you rise up through the leadership ranks, they can't make those decisions at the top because politics get involved. The mayor gets involved. The governor gets involved.
Yeah, well,
exactly. And who's the governor and the mayor? They all Democrats. They want this to happen. They want this to happen. It's common sense. This only happens in blue cities, I think. That's what I think. So
arrests last night ramped up because now there's a curfew in place. Why it took 5 days to implement that curfew is a question that I'm sure will be asked today. And also, Sheriff, there are a lot of people who are being impacted by these riots. We saw it in 2020, and now we're seeing it again. There is one jewelry store owner who's a migrant himself who said that his business was completely destroyed. Other stores are getting looted in this area. So talk to us a little bit about that and the human impact of what's going on.
It's huge. Downtown Los Angeles is an enormous magnet for business all day long. And
look, watch all these people, man, just taking clothes. Do you know these people work hard to build their business? They just going in there just taking clothes. And this is why some of these business owners, entrepreneurs, don't even want to have a business inside the community. Because things like this happen. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, man. This have to stop. It have to stop.
I mean, you know what our freeways are. Our freeways are just really an absolute mess on a good day. So when you bring thousands of protesters in to block freeways, to stop freeways, that impacts everyone's day. Where businesses are closing, businesses have to close, people can't make it to work. It's a major impact for all of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I don't think people maybe in a different part of the country understand.
Yeah, all these things that's happening. Look, they blocking the highway. People could be late for work. Now they late for work. They get fired. All these crap. So people can have an emergency, they have to go to the hospital, taking somebody to the hospital. Now something happened to them. These people don't care. This is crazy.
When you shut down the 101, you shut down basically the entire Southland, because the 101, to your point, Sheriff, on a good day, the 101 is a disaster. This was a bad days or a series of bad days. And so thank you for making that point. Sheriff Chad Bianco, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I'm Steve.
I know if I was there, I'd be so upset because now I'm stuck there for how many hours? Who knows when it's going to end? This is crazy, man. This have to really stop, man. Guys, man, subscribe to my channel. Put a like to my channel. Also comment down below, man. Let me know what you think about this video. Thank you guys for sticking around with me, man. Peace.